I want to give you a brief overview about synchronous communication and an asynchronous communication. Synchronous communication was never a problem in relatively small monolithic applications because it is a very simple concept. The client sends a request to the server and the server responds back to the client. However, when using a microservice architecture, there are lots of different services communicating with each other all the time. In environments like this, synchronous communication can add some difficulties to the system. That being said, there will be some instances where you will need asynchronous communication. But when a service calls another service and the other service does not respond back in time or does not respond at all, the calling service will also fail because it was expecting a response. This can cause a waterfall of falling calls, causing the whole system to break down. An advantage of synchronous communication is that service receives an acknowledgement that the request was received and the corresponding action was executed, so there is a solid confirmation in synchronous communication. With that brief overview, let's switch our heads to asynchronous communication. When using asynchronous communication, the calling service does not wait for a response from the called service, because of which there is no acknowledgement that the request was received or if the corresponding action was executed. But at the same time, this obviously has a great advantage that the calling service is not dependent on the called service. If they fail, the calling service will still continue to operate. Another advantage is of course that the threads of the calling services are not blocked anymore, waiting for a response. There are different approaches that can use a synchronous form of communication, each with its own advantages and disadvantages. Asynchronous communication also allows the possibility of one-to-many communication, where a client can send a message to multiple services at the same time. Whereas synchronous communication methods, the client will need to send the messages to every different service separately. Now you might be wondering that in our architecture, where will asynchronous and synchronous communication fit together? Let me walk you through that. We will be using Service Bus for communication. Now right here you can see within our coupon and shopping cart microservice, we have a communication. This communication will be synchronous communication because when an MVC application will request a shopping cart will have to call coupon to find out if that coupon is active or not, and if that is, what is the discount. Shopping cart cannot return a response to the MVC application unless the coupon API returns a response about a coupon. So in this case, shopping cart is dependent until it receives a response from the coupon microservice. This is an example of synchronous communication. When shopping cart microservice asks the coupon microservice, it will wait until a response is received from the coupon microservice. That being said, what will be an example of an asynchronous communication? Whenever we will be using Service Bus, that will be asynchronous communication. So let's say when an order is placed, after that we want to send out email to our customer. So what we'll do is we'll just send a message that, hey, whenever you have time, please send out an email to this details with this message. Service Bus will hold that message, and whenever the email service is ready, it will send that message and email will deliver that message. So order service will not wait until an email is actually sent out. It will just tell the Service Bus that, hey, this is what I want the email service to do. And when the email service is available, it will perform its task. So that means that order microservice is not dependent or waiting until a response is received. It will just deliver a message and move on to the next task. that is asynchronous communication. We will be implementing all of this, but I wanted to give you a brief overview and a general idea of how asynchronous and synchronous communication are different.